welcome back to Blueprint Reading for Welders. Today we're going to go over something very basic, how to read a tape measure. Now, I know some of you may be groaning at the thought of, oh goodness, why are we going over how to read a tape measure? Trust me, this is something that is not covered since, I believe, 5th grade, and for a lot of people, reading a tape measure does not come second nature. So this is why we're going to go over how to read a tape measure. I know most of y'all like, oh, it's 3 feet, oh, it's 2 feet. Well, what are all those little notches in between? Some people don't know this. So just to make sure I know that everybody knows how to read a tape measure, we're going to go over that real quick. So for starters, I'm going to draw out 1 inch, going all the way across here to here. I really hope y'all can hear the squeaking of that marker. So to start off with, this is our 1 inch. All right, it is a hole. So you go from 0 to 1. Now, in between that, you'll find hash marks in between it, but right about in the middle, you'll find one line that goes down right here, and this is 1/2 of an inch, all right? Why is it 1/2? Because it's between 0 and 1. So you get 1/2 here, and then 2/2 here makes for 1 whole or 1, all right? In between, so you're at 1/2 and 1/2. That splits the first inch in 2. And then between that, we have the next size marker, which is going to be 1/4. All right? So 0, 1/4. Now, we're going to go to 1/4, and then this is 2/4. So technically, 1/2 an inch is also 2/4. This is not a proper fraction because it can be reduced down to 1/2. And you go down over here and you have 3/4. All right? So anytime you read a tape measure, if you're beyond this 1 inch, if you're at 17 inches and then it still goes on to one of these little marks, if it's going all the way over here, it means it's 3/4. But this is why it's jumping if you're reading a tape measure and you see, oh, here's 1/4. And then it goes to 3/4 over here. Well, that's because that 2/4 is right here at the 1/2 inch. So you're breaking this inch into 4 pieces: 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4 being a whole, essentially. Now, between the quarter marks, we break it down even further, and we start going into eighths. So 0, we've got 1/8. And then within the quarter, we have 2/8. Then the next mark, we have 3/8. Now we're back to our 1/2 inch mark. We're halfway there, and it's going to be 4/8. Next little mark is 5/8. 3/4 would also be 6/8. And then finally, the one before our whole inch is 7/8. All right? So within a quarter, you have 2/8, and within the 1/2 inch, you have 4/8. All of these numbers are 1/2 an inch because 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8. 1/2 the inch right here. It's just breaking this inch down into further and further pieces fractionally, okay? You can also do this with decimals as well. A 1/2 inch would be 0.5 inch. While a quarter would be 0.25 inch, depending on how many decimal places you're going to. But we're not going to mess with that because we use customary units for inches, so we are going to stick to fractional inches. Anyway, so beyond our 1/8 of an inch, we can break it down even further, and we get down to our 16th marks. So between 0 and 1/8, you have 1/16. Within the 1/8, because it's 2/16, you have 2/16. Next mark by itself is 3/16. Within our quarter, we have 4/16. And then 5/16 is our next standalone. 3/8, we've got 6/16. And then in next one, we have 7/16. Now we're back to our half inch. Our half inch will be 8/16. And then we've got 9/16. 5/8 would be 10/16. 11/16. 12/16, which is 6/8 or 3/4. You would never write these down, any of these, whenever you get to any of these fractions, because you would reduce them down to their simplest form. So if you add two fractions together and you end up with 8/16, you'll know it reduced down to half an inch. 13/16 be 14/16, and then 15/16 right there. All right. Now, usually, whenever you're welding or fabricating, you aren't going to go much further than 1/16 of an inch. So these are the markings you need to most worry about whenever you're using a tape measure. Now, this goes down even further depending on the tape measure that you're using. In between them, we start to get what are called 30 seconds. Most tape measures will only show 30 seconds on the first foot of the tape measure, because beyond that, if you're measuring out something that's 87 inches, you're not going to be too worried about a 32nd of an inch. So our first 32nd is 1/32. And if you notice, all of these are divisible by each other. So 1/2 goes down to 1/4, 1/4 goes down to 1/8, 1/8 down to 1/16, 1/16 down to 1/32. This is because they are all divisible by 2. Half of 32 is 16. Half of 16 is 8. Half of 8 is 4. Half of 4 is 1/2. This is how fractions work. It's pretty simple to reduce them down once you know it. To know if a fraction can reduce, you can just see, can 2 and 8 be divided by each other? Can you divide 2 by 2? Yeah, that goes down to 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So if you have 2 8s, you know you have a quarter. Can this reduce down? Basically, if your top number is even, you know you can reduce it down. And you want to see if you can for any of the fractions you have while you're reading a tape measure. So if you've got your tape gone out and you've got 17 inches, but then it keeps going to these little notches, let's say this is 17 and this is 18. You go over and your mark is right here on whatever you're measuring. You'd start by looking at how many inches you have. You have 17, and you're between 17 and 18. And you go and look at the rest of the notches on your tape measure, and you see if it lines up closest to here. You would have 17 inches and 7/16. And it's pretty straightforward, just like that.